Edit Vincent Caruso laughed, and 12 men around the black marble table stopped breathing. The sound escaped before he could bury it. Low, rough, startlingly human. And for one impossible second it seemed louder than the muted Manhattan traffic 40 floors below. A silver espresso spoon froze against porcelain. Leather chairs stopped creaking. Even the ventilation system seemed suddenly noticeable, pushing 68-degree air through a conference room scented with dark roast coffee, cedar cologne, and polished stone. Vincent sat at the head of the table beneath hard white recessed lights, one hand resting beside a stack of financial reports. At 39, he had built an organization where men twice his age lowered their voices when he entered. Nobody interrupted him. Nobody touched his things. And nobody, according to an unwritten rule older employees taught new ones on their first morning, tried to make Vincent Caruso laugh. Not anymore. Yet through the glass conference room wall stood Maya Brooks, his 28-year-old secretary, one hand pressed over her mouth, and the other still holding something she had absolutely no business carrying into a council meeting. Vincent's laughter died. His dark eyes found hers. Maya lowered her hand. A tiny red object dangled between her fingers. One capo slowly turned toward Vincent, then immediately looked back at his paperwork. Another cleared his throat. "Continue," Vincent said. His voice had returned to steel, but the damage was done. Every man at that table had heard it. Maya had heard it too. Worse, she had caused it. 10 minutes earlier, she had been standing outside the conference room with Vincent's revised schedule tucked against her navy blazer. Through the glass, she watched him dismantle an argument without raising his voice. "The meeting was scheduled for 9, he said, tapping one finger against a report. "It is now 9:16. If your explanation requires longer than 16 minutes, you've already wasted more of my time than the problem deserves." Silence. Maya glanced at the wall clock. 9:17. She quietly changed his next appointment by 15 minutes. That was her job, keeping Vincent's world moving while everyone else tried not to disturb it. Then she noticed his espresso. He had forgotten it again. Maya entered without knocking. 6 heads turned. Vincent didn't. "Ms. Brooks, your coffee is cold." "I'm aware." She lifted the cup anyway. The porcelain was barely warm against her palm. "Then why are you pretending you're going to drink it?" One capo stared at her as if she had just insulted royalty. Vincent finally looked up. "Put it down. Fresh one in 2 minutes." Maya turned toward the door, then stopped when something slipped from the folder beneath her arm. A small red clown nose bounced once on the marble floor. Soft rubber. Bright red. Completely absurd against black stone and $1,000 suits. Maya closed her eyes for half a second. She had bought it for an office charity event scheduled later that week and forgotten it was inside her folder. Nobody moved. Vincent looked at the red nose. Then at Maya. "Explain." She bent to retrieve it. "Administrative emergency." "That is a clown nose." "Excellent observational skills, Mr. Caruso." Someone inhaled sharply. Maya should have left. Instead, she looked at Vincent's expression, the same severe face she had seen every morning for 11 months, and made a decision no sensible employee would have made. She slipped the red nose over her own. "Your 10 o'clock called," she said with perfect seriousness. "Apparently, this is now the required dress code." Vincent stared. Maya stared back. 3 seconds passed. 4. His jaw tightened. Then his mouth betrayed him. The first sound was almost a cough. The second wasn't. Vincent Caruso laughed. Now, with the council frozen around him, Maya slowly removed the clown nose. Vincent closed the folder in front of him. Meeting adjourned. Chairs moved instantly. Papers disappeared into briefcases. Within 30 seconds, the room emptied until only Vincent and Maya remained beneath the cold white lights. He rose, buttoned his charcoal jacket, and walked toward her. Maya held the ridiculous red nose at her side. Vincent stopped 3 feet away. "Do you know how long it has been?" he said quietly. "Since anyone heard me do that?" Maya's fingers tightened around the soft rubber. Vincent's eyes never left hers. 9 years. Edit. 9 years, Vincent repeated, and the red clown nose suddenly felt heavier in Maya's hand than a piece of foam had any right to. Beyond the glass wall, assistants moved through the executive floor beneath pale ceiling lights, their footsteps softened by thick gray carpet. Inside the conference room, the air conditioning whispered over polished marble, carrying the bitter scent of abandoned espresso. Maya placed the nose on the table. That explains why everyone looked like I'd committed a felony. Vincent's eyes dropped to it. People here know better than to make jokes around me. I noticed. Yet you did it anyway. Accidentally. She paused. Mostly. Vincent walked past her and opened the conference room door. Come with me. He crossed the executive floor without checking whether she followed. Maya collected her folder and hurried after him, heels striking the dark hardwood outside his private office. Employees straightened as Vincent passed. Conversations died. A junior analyst carrying coffee stepped aside so quickly that liquid trembled beneath the plastic lid. Vincent entered his office and removed his jacket. Maya followed, closing the heavy walnut door behind her. Warm sunlight spilled through floor-to-ceiling windows, but the room itself remained severe. Black leather, dark wood, silver frames turned toward his desk, everything arranged with ruler-straight precision. Cancel lunch, Vincent said. Maya opened her tablet. Already did. He looked up. Why? You never eat after council meetings. I eat. Espresso is not lunch. His stare lingered on her for 2 seconds before he reached for a document. Maya crossed the room, removed the cold cup beside his hand, and replaced it with the fresh one she had ordered while leaving the conference room. Steam curled between them. Vincent glanced at the cup, then at her. Do you always ignore instructions this efficiently? Only the bad ones. For 11 months. This had been the rhythm between them. Vincent issued orders. Maya removed the unnecessary obstacles around them. When he scheduled 3 meetings 20 minutes apart across Manhattan, she moved 2 before he noticed. When he worked past midnight, she had dinner delivered without asking. When he arrived one morning with his charcoal tie twisted slightly beneath his collar, she stepped in front of him outside an elevator full of silent bodyguards and fixed it with 2 quick movements. Nobody else would have touched him. Maya had simply said, "You're welcome," and walked away. Vincent had spent years building a world where hesitation meant respect. Maya treated hesitation like wasted time. That afternoon, he tested the difference. At 3:20, Maya entered his office carrying contracts for signature. Vincent deliberately pushed his untouched lunch toward the edge of the desk. Throw it away. Maya looked at the sealed container. You haven't opened it. I'm not hungry. She picked it up, walked toward the wastebasket, then changed direction and placed it directly in front of him. 3 bites. Vincent slowly lowered his pen. Excuse me. 3. Then I'll throw it away myself. You're negotiating with your employer over chicken. Grilled salmon. That makes this worse. Maya folded her arms. Vincent stared at her. She stared back. Finally, he opened the container. The warm smell of garlic, lemon, and roasted vegetables replaced the stale coffee in the room. He took 1 bite. Maya raised 1 finger. A second. 2 fingers. On the third, she closed the container and carried it away. You're impossible, Vincent said. 4 people have resigned from this position in 6 years. Maya stopped at the doorway. Because you scared them? Because they understood boundaries. And yet I've lasted 11 months. Vincent's pen remained suspended above the page. That fact appeared to bother him more than her joke had. Maya returned to her desk outside. The afternoon passed in phone calls, schedules, and muted elevator chimes until the executive floor emptied after 7. When she finally gathered her purse, Vincent appeared in his doorway. His tie was loosened now, the harsh office lights catching silver at his cuff. He held the red clown nose. Maya stared. You kept that. You left it. There's a trash can 6 feet from your desk. Vincent turned the phone between his fingers. Tomorrow morning, nobody jokes in my office. Nobody mentions what happened today. And you never put this thing on during a council meeting again. Maya nodded solemnly. Understood. She reached for it. Vincent pulled his hand back. I didn't say you could have it. Maya's eyebrows rose. For the briefest instant, something moved at the corner of his mouth. Not laughter. Not yet. Vincent closed his fingers around the ridiculous red nose and returned to his office. 7 a.m. tomorrow, Ms. Brooks. For what? He stopped without turning around. I want to understand why you're the only person in this building who keeps forgetting to be afraid of me. At 7 the next morning, Maya found Vincent standing beside her desk with 2 coffees and her red clown nose in his coat pocket. The executive floor was nearly empty, washed in pale gold from the eastern windows, and the only sounds were the low hum of printers warming up and an elevator chiming somewhere down the corridor. Fresh coffee and lemon furniture polish hung in the cool air. Maya set her purse beneath the desk. Should I be concerned that you arrived before your own security chief? Carlo is downstairs. Vincent handed her a cup. 2 creams. No sugar. Maya looked at it, then at him. You know my coffee order? I employ you. You employ 300 people in this building. Most of them don't confiscate my lunch. He turned toward his office. Maya followed, hiding the small movement at the corner of her mouth. Inside, Vincent loosened one cuff and placed a folder on the mahogany desk. You never answered my question. Which one? Why you're not afraid of me? Maya took a sip. The coffee was hot enough to sting her tongue. I am. Vincent stopped. You have an unusual way of demonstrating it. Fear and obedience aren't the same thing. She crossed to his calendar display and tapped the screen. You have a meeting downtown at 10, legal at noon, and dinner with the Brooklyn delegation at 7. Also, you're wearing the wrong tie. Vincent looked down. There is nothing wrong with my tie. Maya stepped toward him. The charcoal silk was slightly crooked beneath his collar. She reached up, straightened the knot with 2 quick movements, then smoothed the edge flat. The fabric was cool beneath her fingers. Vincent didn't move. Through the windows, a siren passed far below and faded into Manhattan traffic. There, she said. Civilization restored. You realize nobody else in this organization would do that. Then you've surrounded yourself with remarkably unhelpful people. Vincent's gaze followed her as she returned to the desk. That's what I mean. Maya opened his schedule. What? You treat me like I'm normal. Would you prefer ceremonial bowing? Maya. Vincent. The first name left her mouth before she could reconsider it. Silence. His expression changed by less than an inch, but she saw it. Maya slowly lowered the tablet. That one might have been too far. Vincent walked behind his desk. Do it again. What? My name. She studied him. Vincent. No title. No Mr. Caruso. Just 6 letters spoken in an office where everyone else treated his name like something carved into stone. Vincent looked toward the windows. 9 years, he said. People have called me boss, sir, Mr. Caruso. Sometimes all 3 in the same sentence. Maya leaned against the desk. And you let them? It keeps things clear. No, it keeps things distant. His eyes returned to hers. Maya lifted her coffee. You asked. Before he could answer, his phone rang. He took the call, and within seconds the man standing across from her disappeared behind the familiar controlled voice. Move it to 11. No, I don't care what they were promised. 11. He ended the call. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Downtown meeting? Moved up. Maya checked the schedule. Your driver won't be ready. Then tell him. Already texting. Vincent almost smiled. Maya caught it. That was close. What was? Your face nearly did something. Get your coat. 20 minutes later, they stepped into the private elevator. Brushed steel reflected the overhead lights, and the faint scent of Vincent's cedar cologne mixed with Maya's coffee. As the doors began closing, Maya noticed his tie had shifted again. She reached over and fixed it. Vincent looked down at her hand. You enjoy testing boundaries. Your tie enjoys losing fights. The elevator descended. Vincent reached into his coat, removed the red clown nose, and placed it in Maya's palm. Keep it. She looked at him. I thought you confiscated it. I changed my mind. Dangerous habit. The doors opened onto the private lobby. Vincent stepped out, then stopped. Maya. She waited. He glanced at the ridiculous red foam in her hand. Whatever happened yesterday does not happen again. Maya closed her fingers around it. You mean laughing? His jaw tightened. I mean making me forget myself. Maya's playful expression disappeared. She slipped the nose into her purse. Then you're asking the wrong secretary. Vincent turned back toward her. She met his stare beneath the cold lobby lights. Because I'm done helping you pretend the man underneath that suit doesn't exist. Edit. Vincent said nothing until the elevator doors closed behind them, sealing them inside brushed steel and cold white light. The car descended with a soft mechanical hum, while Maya stood beside him with one hand around her coffee and the red clown nose hidden inside her purse. At the private garage level, the doors opened onto polished concrete, the smell of gasoline and warm rubber drifting between rows of black vehicles. Vincent walked toward the sedan. You're staying here. Maya stopped. My schedule says I'm attending. I changed it. Why? Vincent opened the rear door. Because you've become too comfortable crossing lines. Maya stared at him across the glossy roof. Which line? fixing your tie, or reminding you that laughter isn't a felony. His driver looked straight ahead. Vincent's hand tightened around the door frame. Go upstairs, Ms. Brooks. The return to her last name was deliberate. Maya heard it. She stepped back. Fine. Vincent entered the car, and the door closed with a heavy thump. Maya watched the sedan disappear up the concrete ramp. She didn't follow. She didn't argue. Instead, she returned to the executive floor and changed something Vincent had spent 9 years protecting. At 10:42, he came back from the shortened meeting and stopped. Outside his office, music was playing, quietly but unmistakably. An old Motown record rolled from a small speaker on Maya's desk, warm bass notes drifting through a space normally filled only with phones, keyboards, and restrained voices. A bowl of wrapped candy sat beside the reception monitor. 2 assistants were actually talking while they worked. One laughed before noticing Vincent. The sound died instantly. Vincent looked at Maya. My office. Now. The walnut door shut behind them. Afternoon sunlight cut across the dark carpet, and the air smelled faintly of coffee and the peppermint Maya had just unwrapped. Vincent placed both palms on his desk. Turn it off. It's barely audible. Turn it off. Maya crossed her arms. No, his head lifted slowly. Excuse me. You told me not to make you forget yourself. So I thought about that sentence. She stepped closer. This entire floor behaves like a funeral home because you decided nobody should ever be comfortable around you. You don't understand what you're interfering with. Then explain it. I don't owe you an explanation. Then stop expecting me to obey rules nobody can explain. Vincent walked around the desk. This isn't a game. I know. Maya reached into her purse and placed the red clown nose on his immaculate desk. Its bright color looked almost offensive against the black leather blotter. Vincent stared at it. Remove that. Why? Because I said so. That isn't a reason. His hand closed around the foam nose. You made me laugh once. Do not mistake that for permission to dismantle how I run my life. Maya's voice dropped. I'm not dismantling anything. I'm opening one window. Vincent crossed to the wastebasket. For a second, Maya thought he would drop the clown nose inside. He didn't. His fist remained closed around it. Outside the office, the Motown song changed. A trumpet line slipped faintly beneath the door. Vincent's shoulders stiffened. Turn the music off. You do it. He looked at her. Maya didn't move. Vincent opened the door himself, crossed the outer office, and reached the speaker. His finger hovered above the button. Then the chorus began. Something in his face locked. His hand dropped without touching it. Maya had followed him only as far as the doorway. Vincent, he turned sharply. Never play this song again. The assistants lowered their eyes. Maya switched the speaker off immediately. Silence rushed back into the room. This time she didn't challenge him. Vincent returned to his office, but before he could close the door, Maya stepped inside. That wasn't about office rules. Enough. It was about the song. I said enough. Maya took the clown nose from his hand and placed it gently on the desk. Then tell me what line I actually crossed. Vincent looked at the ridiculous red object between them, then toward the silent speaker outside. His voice came quieter than she had ever heard it. That was my mother's favorite song. Maya's fingers stopped against the desk. Vincent pushed the clown nose toward her. You wanted to know where the line is. His eyes met hers. There it is. Don't cross it again. Maya left the clown nose exactly where Vincent had pushed it and walked out without another word. For the rest of the afternoon, the executive floor returned to its old rhythm. Muted phones, soft keyboards, shoes disappearing into gray carpet. The music stayed off. At 8:14 that evening, Maya was shutting down her monitor when Vincent appeared beside her desk. His tie was gone, his white shirt open at the collar, and 2 untouched espresso cups sat cooling behind him. Come inside. Maya followed. The city beyond his windows glittered black and gold, and the office smelled of cedar, paper, and coffee burned down to bitterness. Vincent remained standing. Her name was Elena. Maya said nothing. My mother. He looked toward the red clown, nose still resting on his desk. 9 years ago, she was in a hospital on the Upper East Side. Cancer. 6 months became 3. 3 became weeks. His thumb rubbed slowly across his cuff. Everyone around her started whispering. Nurses. Family. Me. Vincent crossed to the windows. Far below, horns pulsed along Madison Avenue. She hated whispering. Maya leaned against the edge of a leather chair, but did not sit. The night before she died, That song came on the little radio beside her bed. She turned it up. Vincent's reflection stared back from the glass. I told her she would wake the entire floor. His mouth moved faintly at the memory. She said dying people should get one noise complaint for free. Maya's lips parted, but Vincent continued before she could respond. Then she started dancing. He demonstrated with one restrained movement of his shoulders, awkward enough that Maya almost smiled. From a hospital bed? Barely. Mostly her hands. The air conditioner clicked off, leaving only Manhattan's distant rumble behind the glass. She made me dance with her. Vincent lowered his eyes. I laughed so hard a nurse came in. Maya looked toward the clown nose. That was the last time. Vincent nodded. She died the next morning. His hand flattened against the window. At the funeral, people told me I had to be strong. Afterward, men watched me differently. Every decision mattered. Every weakness became something someone could use. He turned. So I stopped giving them anything. Maya crossed the room, but instead of touching him, she picked up the clown nose. Including this. Especially that. She squeezed the foam between two fingers. You know what I think? I'm beginning to understand that asking isn't required. I think you turned grief into a uniform and forgot you were wearing it. Vincent's eyes hardened, but Maya did not retreat. You asked why I'm not like everyone else. That's why. They see the suit first. The name. The men downstairs. The locked elevators. She placed the clown nose in his palm. I see a man who hasn't allowed himself one harmless thing in 9 years because he thinks his mother's last mourning gave him a rule she never actually made. Vincent closed his fingers around it. You weren't there. No, Maya stepped back. But from what you just told me, Elena Caruso turned up Motown in a hospital and danced badly enough to make her son laugh. Vincent looked away. Maya continued, quieter now. Does that sound like a woman who wanted silence to become your monument to her? His jaw worked once. He walked to the desk and opened the bottom drawer. Maya expected him to put the clown nose away. Instead, Vincent removed a framed photograph. A younger Vincent stood beside a dark-haired woman whose grin seemed too large for the camera. Both wore ridiculous paper party hats. He set the frame upright on his desk. For 9 years it had faced downward inside that drawer. Maya looked at him. Vincent adjusted the frame until it faced his chair. Then he placed the red clown nose beside it. Tomorrow, he said, put the music back on. Maya's eyebrows rose. Vincent sat behind the desk and looked at his mother's photograph. Not loud, obviously, and no dancing. Maya reached the doorway. That sounds negotiable. Vincent almost smiled. This time, he let the expression remain. Maya, she turned. His fingers rested beside the photograph. I didn't forget how to laugh. His voice softened. I decided I didn't deserve to. Edit the music returned at 8:03 the next morning, low enough to sit beneath the clicking keyboards, but loud enough for Vincent to hear from behind his office door. Maya watched through the glass as his pen stopped over a contract. Warm brass and bass drifted across the executive floor, mixing with the smell of fresh espresso and printer toner. Vincent looked toward his mother's photograph, now standing upright beside the red clown nose. Then he continued signing. At 11, the council arrived. 8 men took their places around the black marble table, while pale winter light cut across dark suits and silver watches. Maya distributed folders, then stopped beside Vincent's chair. Newark distribution is 14% under projection, Carlos said. Management wants another month. A capo named Salvatore Russo shook his head. They had their month. Close it. Vincent turned one page. How many employees? Maya answered before Carlo could. 47. Russo shrugged. Then 47 people learn what failure costs. Maya's fingers tightened around her tablet. The Newark staff handled legitimate freight operations. Most had never been inside a Moretti council room and never would be. Vincent scanned the figures. Close it Friday. Maya looked at him. Yesterday, he had placed his mother's photograph back on his desk. Today, the old armor had returned before. Lunch. No, the word landed cleanly. Russo stopped moving. Carlo's eyes shifted toward Maya. Vincent slowly raised his head. What did you say? The numbers don't support closing it. Ms. Brooks, leave the room. Maya walked toward the wall display instead. Her heels struck marble in 4 measured clicks. She connected her tablet, and a spreadsheet filled the screen. Freight volume is down 14%, but their operating cost dropped 19%. They're not failing. They're recovering. Russo leaned back. She was told to leave. Vincent's gaze remained fixed on Maya. I'm aware. Maya enlarged the quarterly figures. Give them 6 weeks. Renegotiate the Jersey fuel contract and move 2 idle trucks from Brooklyn. You preserve 47 jobs and improve the margin. Vincent closed his folder. Enough. No, Vincent. The first name changed the room. Russo's eyebrows lifted. Carlo became absolutely still. Maya stepped away from the screen. If you close Newark after seeing these numbers, you're not making a business decision. Vincent rose. Be careful. You're making a fear decision. The ventilation hummed overhead. Coffee cooled untouched. Vincent walked around the table until only a few feet separated them. You believe because I told you something personal last night, you can challenge me in front of my counsel? I challenged the numbers. I gave an order. A bad one. Russo let out a short laugh. Boss, if my secretary spoke to me like this. Vincent turned so sharply the man stopped mid-sentence. She is not your secretary. Maya watched Vincent's hand flatten against the marble. He could end the argument with one sentence. Everyone knew it. So did she. She reached into the folder she carried and removed a single sheet. Here. Vincent looked down. What is that? My resignation. The room shifted. You prepared this? This morning. Vincent picked up the page. The paper crackled between his fingers. Why? Because if my job requires me to watch you make a decision you know is wrong, just so 8 men can keep being afraid of you, then I'm bad at my job. Vincent stared at the signature at the bottom. Maya removed her security badge and placed it beside the resignation. Plastic clicked against stone. 6 weeks, she said. That's all Newark needs. And if I say no, then you lose 47 employees and 1 secretary before lunch. Nobody moved. Vincent looked at the badge, then at Maya, then toward the glass wall where his office was visible across the executive floor. From this angle, he could see the tiny red clown nose beside Elena Caruso's photograph. His jaw loosened. He tore Maya's resignation in half. Then again, for pieces fell onto the marble. Carlo, move the Brooklyn trucks. Renegotiate fuel by Monday. Newark gets 6 weeks. Russo opened his mouth. Vincent silenced him with one glance. Then he picked up Maya's security badge and held it toward her. Maya reached for it. Vincent didn't release it. You wanted me to stop surrounding myself with people who only say yes. His voice was quiet enough that everyone leaned closer. Fine. He let go of the badge. But understand something, Maya. From this moment forward, when you believe I'm wrong, you don't resign. His eyes held hers across the cold marble. You stand there and tell me. Edit the next morning, Maya walked into Vincent's office carrying a cardboard box large enough to make 2 security guards stare. The executive floor smelled of fresh espresso and warm printer paper, while soft Motown drifted beneath the clicking keyboards. Vincent looked up from his desk. His mother's photograph stood beside the red clown nose, exactly where he had left them. No, Maya stopped. You don't even know what's inside. That has never protected me before. She set the box on his black leather sofa. Something inside gave a metallic jingle. Vincent slowly removed his glasses. Maya, you told me to stand there and tell you when you're wrong. That invitation did not include whatever is in that box. Maya smiled. Today isn't about you being wrong. She checked her watch. It's about you being 9 years overdue. At noon, Vincent entered the employee lounge and stopped dead. The room had been transformed without becoming extravagant. Paper streamers hung crookedly beneath warm pendant lights. A small chocolate cake sat beside. Sandwiches and coffee. 40 employees stood around tables, pretending not to stare at their boss. The air carried melted chocolate, toasted bread, and the unmistakable nervous silence that always followed Vincent Caruso into a room. He turned toward Maya. What is this? Lunch. Why are there decorations? Because beige walls are depressing. Why is everyone here? Because people usually attend lunch. Vincent's eyes narrowed. Maya reached into the cardboard box. And because you need exposure therapy. She pulled out a cheap paper party hat. Vincent stared at it. Blue foil letters across the front read, World's Most Serious Man. Nobody breathed. Put that away. Absolutely not. Maya. She stepped closer and held it above his head. Vincent caught her wrist before the hat touched him. The room froze. Maya looked at his hand, then at his face. You can fire me. You already tried that yesterday. True. She lifted the hat again. Then this should be easier. Vincent released her wrist. Do not put that on me. Maya lowered it. For 1 second, He thought he had won. Then she placed the hat on herself, pulled the red clown nose from her pocket, slipped it over her nose, and climbed onto a chair. Attention, everyone. Vincent closed his eyes. Maya, get down. Mr. Caruso has informed me that fun is prohibited on company property. Several employees stared at the floor to hide their faces. Therefore, I have prepared a formal demonstration of acceptable executive behavior. She straightened her shoulders, lowered her voice, and began walking stiffly around the chair with a nearly perfect imitation of Vincent's measured stride. Good morning. Your coffee is unacceptable. Your breathing is inefficient. This meeting should have been an email. Someone snorted. Vincent's head snapped toward the sound. Silence returned. Maya continued. Also, whoever moved my pen 3 inches to the left will be questioned individually. A woman near the coffee machine covered her mouth. Vincent pointed at Maya. Chair. Now. I'm almost finished. That was not a request. Maya climbed down, but her heel caught one of the paper streamers. The streamer tightened around her ankle. She stumbled forward, grabbed the nearest thing for balance, and accidentally pulled the world's most serious man hat directly onto Vincent's head. The room stopped. Vincent stood beneath silver streamers wearing a crooked paper crown while Maya, still wearing the clown nose, had both hands pressed against his chest to keep herself upright. His eyes moved upward as though he could somehow see the hat. Maya whispered, "It suits you." His jaw tightened. "Remove it." She stepped back. "You have hands." Maya. Vincent. Someone coughed. Maya glanced at the cake, then back at him. "Your mother danced from a hospital bed. You can survive a paper hat for 10 seconds. The words erased every trace of humor from his face. He removed the hat slowly. Maya's clown nose came off too. "I told you not to use her to push me. And I told you I wouldn't help you turn everything joyful into something forbidden. Not here. Especially here. Because this is where everyone learned to be afraid of your face." Vincent's voice dropped. "Enough." Maya shook her head. "No, 9 years was enough." She reached for the cake, lifted one tiny candle from the frosting, and placed it between them. "You don't have to become someone else. You just have to stop punishing the man she loved." Vincent stared at the candle. Then Maya did what no employee, capo, friend, or enemy would have dared attempt. She put the paper hat back on his head, pressed the red clown nose into his hand, and said, 10 seconds, Vincent. Be ridiculous." The room held its breath. Vincent looked at 50 frightened faces waiting for his anger. Then he looked at Maya. Slowly, deliberately, he lifted the clown nose toward his face. Vincent held the red clown nose inches from his face, while 50 employees waited for the most dangerous 10 seconds of their careers. The paper hat sat crooked over his dark hair, silver streamers trembling beneath the warm ceiling vents, and the little candle on Maya's chocolate cake flickered in air, scented with coffee and melted frosting. Vincent looked at Maya. She said nothing. That was what finally did it. No joke, no challenge, no rescue, just her standing there in a cream blouse with the clown nose missing from her own face, leaving the choice entirely to him. Vincent slipped the red foam over his nose. Someone near the back gasped. Maya pressed her lips together. Vincent pointed at her. Not one word. She nodded solemnly. Wouldn't dream of it. The paper hat slid sideways. Maya's shoulders shook. Vincent tried adjusting it, accidentally knocking the clown nose crooked. A young accountant made a strangled sound into his coffee. Vincent turned toward him with the full weight of the Caruso stare, while wearing a red nose and a foil crown, declaring him the world's most serious man. Maya broke first. Her laugh burst across the room. The accountant followed. Then another employee. Vincent looked around at faces desperately trying to stop themselves, and the absurdity finally reached him. His chest moved once. His mouth tightened. Then a deep laugh rolled out of him. Not the startled crack from the council room days earlier. Not something he could pretend had been a cough. This one came freely, warm and helpless, until he had to remove the clown nose just to breathe. The room changed with the sound. Shoulders lowered. Someone applauded. Vincent immediately raised one finger. Don't push it. That only made Maya laugh harder. By 3 that afternoon, however, the laughter had reached the council floor before Vincent did. Salvatore Russo was waiting in the conference room beneath cold recessed lights, his expression carved hard above a charcoal suit. The smell of espresso replaced chocolate, black marble replaced paper streamers. Maya entered behind Vincent carrying Newark reports. Russo glanced at her. So it's true. Vincent took his chair. What is? The performance downstairs. Maya placed the folders on the table. Russo ignored them. Employees are sending messages about you wearing a clown nose. Vincent's eyes cooled. And she did this. Russo pointed toward Maya. First she contradicts you. Then she threatens resignation. Now 50 employees watch her turn their boss into entertainment. Maya's fingers stopped on the final folder. Vincent leaned back. Choose your words carefully, Salvatore. I'm trying to protect your authority. By insulting my secretary? By telling you what nobody else will. Russo looked directly at Maya. She's making you weak. The room went silent. Vincent pushed his chair back. Maya stepped between him and the table before he could rise fully. No, Vincent's eyes flashed. Move. You told me to stand there and tell you when you're wrong. This is different. It isn't. Maya turned toward Russo. You think a man loses power because people hear him laugh? I think a boss who lets an employee humiliate him invites disrespect. Maya reached into her folder. Instead of paperwork, she removed the paper hat from lunch and placed it on the black marble. Silver foil glittered beneath the sterile lights. This frightened you. Russo's jaw tightened. Don't be childish. Then stop treating laughter like a coup. Vincent's mouth twitched. Russo saw it. There. That's exactly what I mean. She has changed you. Vincent stood. This time Maya did not stop him. He walked slowly around the table until he stood beside her, not in front of her. Yes, he said. Russo blinked. Vincent's voice remained quiet. She did. His hand settled beside the ridiculous paper hat. For 9 years, men in this room mistook my silence for strength because I allowed them to. He looked toward Maya. She was the first person with enough courage to tell me the difference. Russo pushed back from the table. Then choose. Your secretary or the respect of this council. Maya turned sharply toward Vincent. He didn't hesitate. He picked up the paper hat, placed it deliberately on his head, and faced every man at the table. Anyone whose respect depends on me never laughing, Vincent said, can leave with Salvatore. Edit. No one followed Salvatore Russo when he stood from the black marble table. The scrape of his chair cut through the conference room, sharp against the ventilation hum and the distant pulse of Manhattan traffic 40 floors below. Vincent remained standing beside Maya with the silver paper hat still crooked on his head. Under the cold recessed lights, it should have made him look ridiculous. Somehow, with every capo watching him in silence, it looked like a declaration. Russo glanced around the table. None of you. Carlo closed his folder. Another man lifted his espresso without answering. Russo's jaw tightened. He walked toward the door alone. Before he reached it, Vincent spoke. Salvatore. Russo stopped. Vincent removed the hat and placed it carefully on the table. You were wrong about one thing. Russo turned. Maya didn't take my authority. Vincent looked at her. She made me stop confusing authority with fear. The door closed behind Russo with a soft hydraulic hiss. Nobody moved for several seconds. Then Vincent returned to his chair. Now, he said, opening the Newark report. Are we finished discussing my face? Carlo's mouth twitched. I believe so. Good. 6-week projections. Maya slid the folder toward Vincent, and the meeting continued. No punishment followed. No dramatic purge. By 5 o'clock, Newark had its revised operating plan. 47 employees still had jobs, and the council had learned something 9 years of silence never taught them. Vincent Caruso could listen without surrendering command. 3 days later, Maya arrived at work to find her desk empty. Her monitor remained, along with her coffee mug, but her folders, calendar books, and nameplate were gone. She marched into Vincent's office without knocking. Morning sunlight poured across the dark wood, warming the scent of fresh coffee. Elena Caruso's photograph stood upright beside the red clown nose. Vincent signed a document without looking up. You moved my things. Correct. Put them back. No, Maya planted both palms on his desk. Vincent, he finally looked at her. You're not my secretary anymore. Maya's eyes narrowed. We've established that firing me is difficult. I'm not firing you. He slid the document across the desk. At the top, embossed in black, were the words Director of Executive Operations. Maya read the salary, responsibilities, and authority level twice. This is a promotion. Your observational skills remain excellent. She looked up. Why? Vincent leaned back. Because you saved Newark. Because you reorganized this floor better than 3 consultants. Because you tell me no when everyone else is busy. Agreeing. He paused. And because if I promoted you merely for making me laugh, you would throw this document at my head. Maya picked it up. Correct. Your new office is across the hall. With windows? 2. Coffee machine? Don't become unreasonable. Maya smiled. Weeks passed. Music remained on the executive floor, never loud enough to interfere with business. The red clown nose stayed beside Elena's photograph. The paper hat somehow found its way onto a shelf behind Vincent's desk, though he denied putting it there. People still straightened when Vincent entered a room. Meetings still began on time. His voice could still reduce a table of powerful men to silence. But silence was no longer the only sound associated with him. One Friday evening, Maya stepped into his office carrying 2 coffees. The city outside glowed orange beneath the setting sun, and an old Motown song played softly from her office across the hall. Vincent looked at the cups. It's after 6. Excellent. You can tell time now. Director Brooks. Mr. Caruso. He pointed toward the door. Get out. Maya noticed the corner of his mouth moving. She reached into her pocket and produced the red clown nose. Vincent stared at it. Absolutely not. I haven't done anything. Your face says otherwise. Maya slipped it over her nose. Better. Vincent tried to hold the stare. 5 seconds. Then 6. Maya crossed her eyes. His composure collapsed. Laughter filled the office, deep and effortless, carrying through the glass walls into the hallway. Nobody froze. Nobody lowered their eyes. Maya removed the nose and placed his coffee beside Elena's photograph. Vincent looked at the picture, then at Maya, still smiling. 9 years earlier, he had mistaken silence for loyalty to someone he loved. Then one fearless secretary did the unthinkable and taught the most feared man in the room that remembering how to laugh was not forgetting the dead. It was finally remembering how to live.